So thank you guys for coming out. This is fantastic. And this is going to be a lot of fun. So I love it. I'm going to talk about just a few things first so you understand what's happening tonight. But first thing I wanted to say is, remember we are doing Operation Christmas. And so this is part of Samaritan's Purse. So we are going to get together. Let me see can I borrow this? Sorry about that. I knew I had them up here, but I think they disappeared. So it's November 7th, all right? And so this is what we're doing. We're going to have Operation Christmas, and we're also going to do a raffle giveaway. So that what we'd like to do is, when we do these boxes, they cost, I think, like $7 a piece to ship them, something like that. So we wanted to be able to, you know, cover the cost, or at least as much as we could give for that. And so one of the creative ways of doing that is doing like raffle tickets. So we'll do raffle tickets so you can buy raffles, and that way you'll get to get prizes, because we'll have stuff here that you'll get fun stuff that we'll draw for. But that'll take care of that. And then as far as Operation Christmas, you guys can bring anything that you would put in this for kids, you know, coloring books, socks, little toys, toothbrushes, things like that. And just think, you know, what could be okay to send as a toy. So not a little BB gun. I don't think that'd be okay. So, or pencils, any school supplies. No, yeah, no chocolate. Yeah, you can't do chocolate. Yeah, this year, I think, so last year they said candy. I think they're changing that for this year, I think. So that'll be great. And then the other thing too is we're going to have is we'd like to do a potluck. So you guys can, you know, bring food, and we'll be doing that. And we'll also be making a rollerball. So this is going to be like a smorgasbord night. It's going to be a lot of things happening, but it'll be fun. And we'll have happy oils. Oh, that reminds me. Okay, I want to say another thing. Are you on? Are you?
Yeah, it worked.
Oh, it worked. Okay. Hey, Facebook. I hope you guys can join us out there. So I'm going to talk about a few things, and then we're going to get into our class. So another thing, the diffuser over here is the Holiday Joy. And I don't know if anybody knew that that one's happening again. And that will be, I think, let's see, November 1st, right, Kenny?
November 1st, yeah, you want to get right on it.
So I'm going to talk about this for just a moment, because if you don't have a doTERRA account, I will just talk about that at the end. But somebody remind me, because I forget sometimes to talk about it. So if you guys could just say, hey, don't forget, so people know how, you know, you can get your own account. But if you have an account, this is what's great. doTERRA, during the holidays, they do this little special, like, all these great things. So I'm going to just talk about them for just a second. They have the Holiday Joy that comes out. That's what you're smelling tonight. That's in the diffuser here. They also have these great, I love this, they have these ornaments. They're from Rwanda, and we had a keynote speaker come in, and she talked about the genocide that she had experienced there. And so I really love that they have these women that have made these, and obviously just another way to support them and help them. And then there's an oil with that as well. I'm just going to run through it real quick just so you know, if you haven't seen this yet. I'll leave it up here in case you guys want to look at it. There's soaps and soaking feet stuff. I'm not even sure all the stuff they have in here. This is great. It's like Christmas. There's a passion lotion, and there's also like this feet pampering set. So that looks fantastic. It's got the body scrub and that body butter. Anybody use that body butter yet? I used it today. Man, it was amazing. That stuff was awesome. They have purple socks, and then they also have, I don't know, Kenny, I guess he's all. And then they have the lavender dryer set. The dryer sets, they go fast. And you can only have up to 4 of each thing. So if you think you're getting one a day, you're getting one at the end of the month, well, you might as well kiss that one goodbye, because it's not happening. So they go fast. They got cinnamon drops with tin, a little tin box. Oh, I love this. Okay, it's my favorite. Who likes that polka dot storage case? That is so cute. So, such a girl thing. I know you, Dave. You're like, whoa, so cute. Yeah,
You can even put rollerballs in it.
Yes, you can. I'm sure you have a special somebody that you can give it to. Exactly. And then there's the rose hand lotion. So this is what I want to explain about this. And the reason I'm bringing this up is, here's how this works. Midnight, you need to place your order. I'm not kidding you. Within 3 days, everything is sold out. That's been our experience. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just, so you can only get mad at yourself if you don't order right away. Yes.
Midnight, November 1st or December?
October 31st.
Just so you know,
Like,
Facebook
you
land.
gotta
This is how you
wait.
can find it online.
November.
Yes, or do it the first thing in the morning. Don't wait till the end of the day because they might be out of those roller balls. I mean, that's just how it is. I know they're going to make sure to try to have extra because they do run out of things, but you know, and again, they limit things to 4 each item so that people do have an opportunity, but they still seem to go really fast. So, wanted to share that, and then of course, you know, we have our class coming up, and I think, next week we don't have class. Okay, so no class. If you show up here, there's probably the house of prayer. Otherwise, you're by yourself, so don't come out for that. Okay, I see a lot of new faces, and so I do want to just introduce myself without all these extra announcements we do. Kenny, my husband, and my name is Stephanie, and we have been doing this class for 3 years. And the reason we started the class was because we knew that when people would use these oils and the different products, and they would just be like, well, what am I supposed to do with this stuff? You know, and just that kind of thing that, you know, we're all used to, and we're comfortable running down to, you know, well, it used to be Longs, not CVS. See how old I am? It used to be Longs, and but we'd run down there and we'd grab whatever we needed, you know, cough medicine, you name it, and we knew what to do with it because we'd been raised with it. But a lot of us don't have hippie mamas. I have a hippie mama, and there was a lot of weird things we did. And we never tied garlic around our neck or anything like that. But I think we put it in our ear, put it in her, I don't know. It's just crazy. So I just said to Kenny, I said, you know, I know all this holistic stuff because I was raised in all this natural. So, and it was interesting because I'd just been asking God, like, what can I do? What can I do that would be helpful? You know, why everything you learn throughout your life is not wasted. There's a purpose for everything. And I remember thinking, what is the purpose of having a hippie mama and growing up with herbs and, you know, everything natural, and we couldn't eat this, and we could never have soda in the house, and, you know, that kind of thing. And so it's good because now I'm able to use all that information, and then I learned a lot just from all of the stuff that we do here in our classes. So just want to kind of give an intro on that. I'm going to go ahead and be passing out a lot of oils.
What you talk about?
Oh yeah, the drawing. Okay, I'm going to be passing a lot of oils out, and I apologize, my coffee beans are here, but I never poured them. So, you know, coffee beans clear your, you know, palate, but whatever. We're just gonna, and so by the time pass the bag. By the time you get out of here, you may be totally high. I just thought I'd tell you. Because we're gonna be smelling oils. And, yeah, no, I don't have hemp. Not yet. I've asked. They said no to hemp. I said, the Californians over here, we all want hemp oil. And then they just kind of, the CEO looked at me and he goes, yeah, Californians, I've heard that. So, oh yeah, this is our drawing. So I just want to encourage you guys, come over here, put in your drawings, your drawing slips, and tonight we're gonna do lime. Lime is our giveaway, all right? And I'll be talking about lime tonight. So we'll be talking about why it is great for emotional. Yeah. So here we go. We're gonna talk. Now I know how many of you guys came out for the emotional class that we had. Okay, just a few. Anybody ever just a few? Okay, so here's the thing. I will be doing that class again. This is not the same. There'll be a little bit of some of the same information, but there's going to be a ton of new information. All right. So if you would, I'll be doing this other one that I did last time, and that's more on the neuroscientist with Dr. Caroline Leaf, and we'll have a lot of good information. But this time we're doing unconditional love. And we're going to use oils to enhance our relationships, especially with the holidays. Amen. Yes, holidays are coming, and our relatives are coming. So, okay, I want to go over some basic. Yes, I see that over there. Are you anointing your door? Is that what you're going to do before they pass through? Okay, so how to use essential oils, and I just want to go over the basics. And so here you go. You've got 3 different ways you can use them. You can ingest them, so you can put 1 to 4 drops in water, in glass, or steel, or in a veggie cap. And this is what the veggie caps look like. Okay? So that way you have different ways to do that. Now, if you're also, just for basics, if you're like, well, what oil can I use versus what not oil, you know, what can I do internally? When you're looking at, and when I pass these around, especially for anybody new, just make sure that you look they actually have, can you say that one okay? They actually have a supplement food fact. And then that way you know that's an oil that you can take internally. If they do not have that supplement food fact, just use it topically, just, or diffuse it, okay? That'll be one of your ways to know. And then of course you can see topically, you can place 1 to 3 drops directly on the target area that you need. And neat just means you put it directly on without coconut oil. Or you can dilute it with a coconut oil or something else. The other thing is you can diffuse and you can place 3 to 6 drops in a diffuser. And of course you're going to get all the benefits of that as well. And like I said, we have the diffuser there tonight. And also, after class, we will have, we can have a couple of people in our group do the roller balls and go back to those right after class so people can go back. And how many people got to do their roller ball? Okay, yeah, most of you did. Anybody that didn't want or wants to do more may. All right, so let's jump into the olfactory bowl. Let me do just a second here. I want to fix you moving all my things.
I'm trying to get out of your way there.
Okay.
Because it doesn't look good on camera.
Doesn't look good, but I look good on camera, right? Okay. Just making sure. Okay. Okay, wait a second. Give me a second. I have to squeeze things up here.
Need me to help you?
Hold on. It's like, okay, there we go. You gotta love it. It's like these little tiny little things you have to move around. So, okay, so olfactory. So let's read this slide. It transmits information directly from the nose into the limbic center of the brain, which is the seat of emotions and memory. Okay, that's what your olfactory is doing there. So I'm going to read some notes just to give you an idea, a little more detail about that. And I love this. It talks about how this area of the brain is actually primitive. It's really our gateway to the subconscious that's going on, and this is the part that's involved with mood expression. So some essential oils actively mimic neurotransmitters, which have a powerful ability to alter our mood. Neurochemicals or transmitter chemicals are known to influence mood in various ways through their effect on the nerves in the brain. Okay, so that just gives you an idea. And some of you know I love to talk about neuropeptides. So neuropeptides, those are your thoughts. And this is what I love about them, is that these are thoughts that are actual molecules being transmitted through your mind and your body. And Dr. Candace Pert, who is another world-renowned neuroscientist and also a pharmacologist, she really is the one that pioneered a lot of the early work on the mind and the body and the medicine that founded that neuropeptides are carried through the bloodstream and then they're transmitted from one neuron to another. Another neuroscientist that you guys probably have heard me talk about and I was saying earlier is Dr. Caroline Leaf. So you can look her up as well. Dr. Caroline Leaf has a ton of YouTubes that you can check out and it's fantastic. So one of the things that I was telling you about last time with emotions, and this is the part that will be similar for some of you that you've heard, but Dr. Caroline talks about just these neurons and how they grow in our brains. So we were talking about dead leaves, we were talking about full leaves, and so we're going to just talk a little bit about this so you understand it. So as you are thinking, you are growing neurons on branches in your brain. Wait, my son's waiting for me because I'm going to have oils to pass out. So thank you, son. As you're thinking, you're growing neurons on branches in your brain. You have unlimited capacity inside your brain. Isn't that amazing? So there's just no excuse. If you ever think that you're forgetful, or if you think that as we age, that our memory's becoming less and less, well then you probably really need to rethink that, because technically our brains should be constantly expanding. We should have tons more memory as we age, and we also become wiser. So in order to grow these branches, we have input going into our brain like electricity. Then the brain will secrete chemicals, and you have an electrical chemical reaction that causes your branches to grow. The branches are what hold our memories, all right? That's what's holding our memories. And this is what's fantastic. We have chemicals built from happiness, joy, passion, and excitement. Okay, they're all connected with that happy memory. Okay, so here's the interesting thing. If we have negative thoughts, the brain doesn't have a chemical for that. Okay, so positive versus negative. If you do negative, you're not going to have a chemical. So what happens is it's going to throw the brain out of balance. It takes too much of the good, okay, too much of the good, and it creates a dead tree. And the interesting thing, thank you, I appreciate that. The thing about this is called inflammation in the brain. So the inflammation starts sending out signals to sort this out. So an example of that would be like depression would be an example of that. When our brain is trying to compensate, and now it's given too much, and now it's out of balance. All right? So if you thought you were really going crazy, no, your brain's just kind of doing something up there. So you're not. You really aren't. So, and you can also talk to yourself. I think I said this last time. Dr. Caroline Leaf says that if you actually talk to yourself and you answer yourself, you actually grow more trees. So please start talking to yourself and answering yourself. Or if you already did, keep doing it and do it a whole lot. So I want to talk to you just for a moment, and we're going to go into this a little more deeply and talk about just a little bit more about the brain. So this is going to be in your notes here. So I'm just going to quickly read through this so you understand how your brain works. Neocortex is the higher mental functions, the general movement, perception, and behavioral responses. The corpus striatum, formerly the basal ganglia, that's the connection between the cerebral cortex and the cerebellum. Is that right?
Cerebellum.
Thank you. That helps regulate automatic movement. And then you've got the amygdala, and we'll focus on that a little bit more in just a second here, but that's the emotional responses. That's where those aggressive behaviors can come from. And the hippocampus, which is the memory of new information and recent events. So it's important as we go through this to understand about our brain so we can understand why the oils are going to work so effectively. So the interesting thing with the amygdala, it is the one thing that is affected by sound and smell. Okay? So when we think about this, how many of you listen to 70s music or 80s music? Yeah. Okay. That's right. Raise your hand, Susan. Okay, so here's the thing. If you hear a song on the radio, does it not take you back to, yeah, it does, doesn't it? I like have high school flashback memories. Some of them are good, some of them are not. I'm like, okay, I don't even know, whatever, But then I had these happy ones where my mom had, music, that she liked to listen to, the Eagles and Crosby, Stills and Nash and all those guys. And, we'd listen to those. I love it because I would all of a sudden get that memory of being in the band. And we had no seatbelts back then. And it was a hippie band. And, and we just, it was great. So it is amazing how you have a memory based. So it's the same thing with sound and with smell. So I'm going to tell you one story before we jump into this because I think it's so fascinating. But I had a girlfriend who I had given Citrus Bliss to. I hadn't thought much of it. I just gave it to her, and she was diffusing it. And she calls me up in a panic, and she says, something is wrong, and I'm not feeling good. I'm like, oh, how much oil did you put on? And she's like, no, I'm diffusing. I'm like, okay, good. Because, you can put too much on, Like tonight when we pass these oils on and you smell them, they're going to give you the best sleep tonight. But if you start putting them on every time they get passed around, you're going to go to the bathroom tomorrow, and you're going to poop it all out. So I just thought I'd warn you. So you may not want to be dumping them all on. I mean, you could, but then you can text me that it really happened. But anyhow, so here's the deal. She's diffusing it. Well, you got to remember that when we diffuse anything, we have 350 smell receptors in our body. So we're breathing all of this in, whether it's toxics or whether it's something else. So as she breathes in, this is what's interesting. She just laid down, breathed it in. Well, I talked to her a little bit later, and she actually was sharing how she had a memory of when she was a child, and her dad, for those Christmas stockings, they would put the mandarin oranges in there. So she was smelling the citrus, and it was reminding her of that time. Now, why would that be such a connection for her and an emotional one? Was because that's, when she was a young person, she had lost her dad to cancer. So she had, it was a happy memory, but a sad memory. So she said there was a lot of things that she just processed during that time as she smelt it. So that goes to just show you how powerful, our amygdala is and what we're breathing in. So we're going to talk a little bit more before we get into a bunch of oils and emotions and things. So I want to talk to you about the brain here, and you can see the dopamine and the serotonin and the oxytocin and the vasopressin, and we've got some other stuff over there too. So I'm going to read through all of this. So if you're taking notes, hopefully you catch this. But I'm just going to read these things so you understand. And if you want to look up more about this, you can go to psychologytoday.com. I thought would help you so you can research some more. So let's talk about the dopamine. It's responsible for reward-driven behavior and pleasure-seeking. So every type of reward-seeking behavior that has been studied increases the level of dopamine transmission in the brain. So if you want to get a hit of this, you set a goal and you achieve it. I have a lot of goals. I was thinking, and I like it. It does give you that feeling. So there is evidence that people with extroverted or uninhibited personality types tend to have higher levels of dopamine than, am I saying that right? Dopamine? Yeah. Than people with introverted personalities. I'm high like a kite. No, I'm just kidding. I love these because I'm always setting goals. I'm always working towards something because there's such a feeling of accomplishment. But this is why, because there's these things that are going off, these chemicals in our brain. So, and if you don't have goals, I can help you. I'll help you find some goals. We have ones. So let's talk about oxytocin. This is a hormone directly linked to human bonding and increasing trust and loyalty. In some studies, high levels of oxytocin have been correlated with romantic attachments. Some studies show if a couple is separated for a long period of time, the lack of physical contact reduces the oxytocin and drives the feeling of longing to bond with that person again. But there is some debate as to whether oxytocin has the same effect on men as it does in women. All right? In men, the vasopressin, that's the closer cousin to the oxytocin, may actually be the bonding molecule for guys. Now, I just will say, the oils are going to be fantastic when I talk about how they help in this area. Because I don't know if other people are like me, I must have just like stunk when it came to oxytocin. Because that department is really low. I didn't trust. I was very like kind of withdrawn. And so when I see, and I am definitely not the most romantic person, am I, Kenny?
No.
So basically I need a little more oxytocin. And
She doesn't even care about her birthday, holidays. I'm the one that remembers all of the anniversaries, the day we met.
Yeah.
She doesn't have any clue about any of that.
I'm very...
She doesn't care.
Yes, I don't care and I'm very unromantic. Yeah, it's nice.
On your 40th birthday, I was at a men's camp.
Yeah, he goes away, it's okay. I totally feel good with myself, I'm confident. But really what it is I don't have enough of the oxytocin going on. So let's talk about serotonin, okay? The confidence molecule. Ultimately, the link between higher serotonin and a lack of rejection sensitivity allows people to put themselves in situations that bolster self-esteem and increases feelings of worthiness and creates a sense of belonging. To increase serotonin, you can challenge yourself regularly and pursue things that reinforce a sense of purpose, meaning, and accomplishment. Being able to say, I did it, will produce a feedback loop that will reinforce behaviors that are going to build your self-esteem and make you less insecure and create an upward spiral of more and more serotonin. So if you are somebody or you have somebody in your life that you know is timid, afraid, not confident, yes, there's oils that help with that too, and I'll talk about those in a minute, but it is really important that we create challenges for ourselves. It's amazing how we want to, sometimes shy away from challenges or goals and things, but these are things that will actually help our brains and it's going to develop us as people. So if you don't want to grow and you don't want to be confident and you don't, that doesn't matter to you, then you're not going to set goals. You're not going to, look at this and go, okay, what can I do? Like it's saying here, challenging yourself regularly and pursuing things that reinforce a sense of purpose, meaning, and accomplishment. So if you don't like your life, these are things you can do because it's going to help the brain and the what's happening there. So here's one more here. It's the one in the center. It's the nucleus accumbens. No, I think that's right.
Accumbens?
Accumbens, that's it. Accumbens. Nucleus accumbens. And this functions when we do anything that is rewarding, whether it's positive or negative. Okay? And that's right there. So one thing I wanted to share with you, and again, this is from Dr. Caroline Leaf from last time, but I really liked it. She says there are 1,400 chemical responses to fear and stress. Your body is thrown into chemical chaos. The first type of stress is called eustress. Now, that's the good kind of stress, all right? And when we go, and now that particular one is going to build those beautiful trees that we talked about last time. But here's what happens. When we go into fear and we make a bad choice, the brain is trying to find the chemical and secretes, too much, and that's where we get that entire chemical balance to take place. And last time I was sharing, it takes 21 days to grow a tree. So be encouraged that you can grow your trees. You can melt the bad ones and you can grow the good ones. Let's see. I also just wanted to tie in one last thing with that. If you're like, I have a lot of bad trees and I need to melt them. One of the things you can do is you can meditate. You can, read scriptures. You can listen to positive speakers. You can surround yourself with positive people. And what happens is those dopamines are going to be released and they're going to melt the trees. Okay? And then what happens is that oxytocin and melatonin begin to happen, and then the trees will melt and rebuild. So if you wonder why all these things are important and what the purpose of them, this is why. And I will do that class again, my one about trees, so you can find out all about how trees grow in your brain. It's great. So let's look up here. We're going to start passing around some oils. And is it hot or is it just me? It is, huh? Okay. I did not bring my peppermint. If you guys have peppermint around your areas, take a drop and put some peppermint on. Someone bring some to me. Good Lord. It is like, whew, huh? Okay. I'm going to take my sweater off. All right. There we go. Here's some. Okay, hold on, guys. Here we go. Thank you. Okay. If you don't know what to do with it, you get that drop in your hand. And if you guys have any, you can pass around. You can smell it, and then you can just put it on the back of your neck. It's going to be all nice and cool there. So that way, I had it at home. I should have brought it. I'm so sorry. But trust me, we'll be all nice and cool in a minute here. Yeah, so get that on, because I know it gets hot. I don't know why. I think there's just too many of us. Okay, so let's talk about on guard. We want to, this is so crazy to think about this, but we want to on guard against unhealthy relationships. We don't want bad relationships in our family, and our friends, and our work. Here, can you pass that around for me? Just hand it to one person, and then I'll get you smell. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so on guard protects negative codependent relationships and people that suck your energy. Exactly, life suckers. And it protects you against people that have poor boundaries. All right, and if you have poor boundaries, you better put on guard on and learn how to have boundaries. But I love this message. I don't think we could find it, but I love, Havilah Cunnington is a fantastic speaker, and she talks about boundaries, and she talks about you take care of your yard, and that person over there takes care of their yard. You don't worry about it. So it really is valid. So going back to this, you want to make sure that you have, because what happens is people will suck the life out of us, and there really are toxic people. So here's something interesting about this. Our immune system is our energetic defense. So we need our immune system to be strong. If our immune system is weakened, then we'll be threatened with emotional and spiritual level. So has anybody ever experienced that? Anyone in the room? Yes. Does anybody want to share an experience or not? Awesome.
I just wanted to say that I noticed anytime I had a negative situation in relationships where it really did have to do with boundaries, that's when I would get sick the most. So that I noticed that connection there, and I always wondered what the connection was. So this makes a lot of sense,
doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you for that. That's a perfect testimony. That's exactly it. That was awesome. Thank you so much. And that's exactly what you can experience. So toxic people are really toxic. Don't hang out with toxic people. Didn't your mother tell you do not hang out with toxic people? Okay, so I love this one. We're going to talk about self-worth for a moment, and we're going to talk about lemon and bergamot. Now, I'm going to pass around just for a moment here. I want to pass this around. And it was actually interesting because somebody just brought this up to me. So I'm just gonna share it because you may get Bed Bath and Beyond in your as one of your little newspaper things. Well, they have essential oils for $10. Do you think those oils are pure, or do you think they have synthetics? That's right. So you do not want to diffuse these. They have a diffuser, and so people are going to go and get these at Christmas time, and they're going to give their loved ones oils and say, diffuse this. And their friends and family say, I have a headache, I hate these things, and because they're breathing in toxins. So, thank you. So I want to encourage you guys, please get diffusers. Diffusers are awesome. But I want to just remind people the difference in something that's pure and something that's not. So here's another really cheap oil that you can get at the health store. And I just encourage you, go to the health store, smell the oils, and bring doTERRA ones, and you'll be amazed. Has anybody ever done that and smelled the difference? Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? So some of you have already smelled this before, but if you have not before, pass it around, and you can smell the one and then smell the other one, and you'll be able to really tell that one smells like your grandma's tree, lemon tree, and you pull off the lemon and make lemon meringue pie. And yeah, I do like lemon meringue pie, in case anybody makes homemade lemon meringue pie. I've already gotten some great banana bread. You make lemon meringue pie too? Oh, yes. Okay. That meets my love language. Okay. I love it. It's a lot of hard work to make lemon meringue. It's, a lot of love goes into that. So let's talk about lemon and why and what's happening with lemon. And I don't think I have an extra one for my son to pass out here. Here I do. Hey, come here. Pass this one out on that side, please. Okay? So lemon helps with the left brain, which is connected with our identity, our ego, and our region of our body, the stomach. So it helps with that. So it helps when we have suffered a trauma and our self-worth is damaged. It actually is going to help you rebuild your self-image. And the bergamot will as well. And I'm going to pass bergamot around. I personally love this oil. This is one of my favorite oils. And so, Isaac, here you go. You pass that around. You can give it to somebody in the front, either side. Just find somebody. So I love this one. I'm going to read a little bit out of the emotional book. Okay, so here's the emotional book, so you can understand a little bit about how these oils work on an emotional level. And so let's see if I can pull this one up and read just a little bit. And I find it so fascinating how these oils, remember, they're neuropeptides. Those are your thoughts that affect your cells. So these oils are going to help you in emotions. So bergamot is the oil of self-acceptance. It relieves feelings of despair, self-judgment, low self-esteem. It supports the individual in need of self-acceptance and self-love. Bergamot invites individuals to see life with more optimism. Okay? Just a little bit more about this particular one. A lot of times people have a core belief of being bad, unlovable, not good enough. They seek to hide behind a facade of cheerfulness. They may fear revealing their true thoughts and feelings. So bergamot is one that will help with that. And it's just fantastic just to really, if you're feeling any kind of sadness. The other thing too, it's great as an oil of confidence. Has anybody ever used it for confidence in the room? Yes, yes. It does. Doesn't it work? It's amazing. I had to recently do a webinar for the first time, and I just put bergamot right behind my ears, and I was like, I'm ready to go, because sometimes I still get a little bit apprehensive, like, okay, do I know what I'm doing here? Have I done this before? No, this is uncharted. So, but Susan, do you have a story about the bergamot and using it, or?
Yeah, I just use it. If I'm feeling low on confidence, I'll use it and put it on before I go to a class or do something, so
Awesome.
it does help.
And it does, you feel like, isn't that amazing? Yeah, so put something behind your ears. That's what I like to do. And the other thing is it's photosensitive, so don't put it across your chest or anywhere where the sun's going to shine. You may get more than what you bargained for. Okay, so lime. Let's talk about lime. Okay, So lime is the one that we're giving away tonight. So if you put your drawings in here, which is great, I'll do this in just a little bit, and we're going to do lime. So lime cleanses issues from the heart. So Isaac, can you come here? Here you go. Go ahead and pass it over to somebody. Okay. Lime cleanses the issues from the heart. It helps dislodge grief, trauma, sadness, or depression in the heart. It actually helps to release that. So it helps us to look at our inner motives and if our intentions are clear and pure, and it fills us with a zest for life. So when you're feeling weighed down by discouragement or grief, lime is going to lift you back up. It cleanses the heart of emotional toxic due to avoidance or repression. It addresses emotions, apathy, grief, suicidal thoughts. So these are all things that lime can help with. So, because I'm sure, how many people knew any of that about lime? Yeah, you can put it in your water, absolutely. You can definitely put it in a glass or stainless steel and put lime in there. Does anybody use lime? Awesome. What do you use lime for?
I put it in the diffuser at work.
Okay. And how does it make
It just makes me happy.
Yeah.
Makes me happy.
And I love that. All the citrus ones are great for happiness. They really are. So that's a great testimony. So here we have cypress. So cypress is really interesting. So we're going to pass cypress around as well. Okay, Isaac, come here. You can pass one on that end and one on that end. Okay, here's both of them. Okay. Got it? One there and one there. All right. So let's talk about cypress. Cypress helps an individual who is stuck, blocked, or stagnant in their emotional life. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this. Cypress helps an individual with all of these things, and as a child, so this is what's interesting. You know, sometimes we feel like we get stuck with our emotions. Have you ever met somebody and you're like, and they're having an emotional breakdown, and you're thinking, right now you're acting like an 8-year-old. Ugh, you know, you're thinking that. Well, it's really true, because what happens is you actually will hold on to negative emotions and trauma deep inside of you based on whatever happened to you as a child. So we often think that we've dealt with these issues, but what we do is we cover it up in our brain with what's called a ring of amnesia. So if you thought you were really forgetful, well, you are. Your brain is protecting itself, you know, with this ring of amnesia. We don't remember any of the negative trauma that has gone on, but it affects us day by day. And you think about it, it's really true. Oftentimes, unless we go to a counselor and we sit down with them and they draw it out of us, and all of a sudden we're weeping and we're like, wow, I'm a mess. I didn't know I had all these things pent up inside of me. And it's just like all of a sudden released. Well, this is very valid, because again, our mind is always protecting us. If you really think about, there's so many of us that have had, you know, not so many, but I mean, there's been people out here that have had things happen. And the way to get through life is not to constantly remember that thing, you know? And so we go into that protectiveness, again, with those rings of amnesia. So let's talk a little bit more about how this affects us. It's going to affect us physically and emotionally to where we feel numb. Have you ever felt numb? You know something's happening in your life and you just feel numb. You don't want to address that emotion. Here's the interesting thing. We don't, let me see if I can do this. We don't address our emotional issues. So what happens is our emotional range goes from wide to narrow. And then we start filtering everything through this instead of through this. So if you've ever met people that are not dealing with their emotions, this is why. All right? And it's not healthy to stay this way. We want to get to be like this. So one of the great things is that the oils will help us. How many of you taken oils now for a couple years? Do you feel emotionally like you've come a long ways? Anybody in the room? Raise your hand if you feel like you've come emotionally. Yeah, there's quite a few hands that went up, you know, about 10 or 8. I do. I feel a lot better. So as we get healing, we begin to expand our emotional vocabulary. This is what's so fascinating. As we do that emotional work and allow ourselves to feel the negative emotions and to go deeper, to feel the pain, to feel the anger, we also allow ourselves to feel joy or happiness instead of feeling the numbness or meditating on those things. Because you really want to continue to stay numb in those feelings that you're having. No, but you've got to allow yourself to feel them and to process them. And ultimately, for most of us, even to forgive. So let's look some more about Cypress, because there's a lot more about this one as well. So there's a picture of a dam, and we're going to talk about that in just a second and why that's important. But let me talk about a few more things before that. So here's the thing about essential oils. They do not make your problems go away. I wish they did, but they don't. That's just not how oils are going to work. But the great thing with oils is that they're going to support the emotional work that you need to do. That's the purpose of them. Okay? And now, remember, essential oils are not going to do your emotional work for you. You still have to walk through the process like that person I mentioned with the citrus bliss and having to, cry as she remembered just losing her dad and going through those feelings. So you're still going to have to go through that. But the difference is you invite that. You invite those issues so that you can release them. So it's catharsis is what it is, which is when we experience something from the past that was hurtful, traumatic, or painful. And I guarantee every one of us in this room have had something hurtful, traumatic, or painful happen, because it just is how it is in life. There's just no way to avoid pain. So when we experience it from the present, then it is able to release from the cellular memory of the body and from the energy of the emotions of the body itself. And in that way, bring permanent healing. But this is only if you can allow yourself to sit present with it. Okay? Because again, it's a choice. Everything's a choice in life. So, remember, we have all those emotions that have happened. We have those in our cells, because your thoughts, remember, your thoughts are neuropeptides and they affect our cells. So whether we like it or not, we are affected by those things that we've experienced. But there is hope. How many of us have had healing from emotional things or traumatic things that have happened? Yeah, all across the room, exactly. And that's what's fantastic, is that, we can get even more healing. So here's what I want to share a little bit more. Proteins are the building blocks that build our thoughts. Thoughts can activate the good and the bad genes, and whatever dominates your thoughts are what you become. You want to be cranky? You can be cranky. You want to be happy? You can be happy. So again, it goes back to those black trees. When the black trees come into the conscious mind, I love this because Dr. Caroline Leaf talks about this. She says when they come up into the forefront of our mind, the frontal lobe, they become malleable. So we can work with that when that memory comes up to the front, all right? And then we can stand back and we can look about that thought. We can go, okay, how do I want to deal with this emotional thought that's come up from the past? So if we say we cannot deal with it, then those thoughts will actually go back into our subconscious way back here. We bury them back again. Okay, again, it's a choice. Some other thoughts here that were interesting about that is when that happens, we actually throw our body into stress. And this is not the good kind of stress. This isn't the eustress. It's the stress 2. And then it can become the stress 3. And stress 3 would ultimately just be the death cycle. So going back to Cypress and going back to this picture about the dam. So Cypress brings healing. So what happens is we create a big dam. So you look up there and you can see that you have built a dam. And let's say that it's closed off. And that river is your emotional river that's happening, because we do not openly share our feelings, but we cover them up and we mask our emotions. So what happens is we're going to create numbness. We're not going to feel things. And the amount of emotional experience that we have is very narrow, okay? But this is what's amazing about Cypress. Cypress actually helps you break that open, breaks the dam open. That's why it's important to help with it's an oil that helps with circulation in the physical, but this is how it helps us emotionally. And it really does help with the catharsis of getting the release from whatever you're feeling. And the purpose of the Cypress is to help us get back into the flow of life and to live life. And if we live life, we're not stagnant. So that just gives you just on the emotional side what's going on. And then let's just look at another oil. Let's look at lavender. Did my helper go away? He got bored. Okay. Would you help me for a second? Is there another person? Can you help too? Okay. Okay, so we've got 4 lavenders up here. And if you girls could just kind of pass them from one, kind of in each of these sections of chairs, that way people can smell them. Okay? There you go. Thank you. So let's talk about emotions with lavender for just a second. When emotions have been shut down all of our lives, it tends to happen within our throat. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about this. We don't speak what we feel. Public speaking freaks us out because we have to be open. We begin learning to use our throats to share again. So one way of doing this is begin journaling from your heart, what you feel, giving voice to what you've never been able to give voice to before. And what will happen is you're going to find that your throat's going to open up and it's going to relax. And lavender really is going to calm down your fear. And what I love about it is it really does open your throat up. It gives you courage if you need to be able to communicate. So I have an example. It was very interesting. When we first started out, and we have this scanner that we have right over here. My daughter scanned for lavender. And I'll just tell you this really interesting and quick story about lavender with her. So as she's reading lavender, and of course sometimes you just don't know what your kids are thinking, and I had no idea. Lavender is the oil of communication. Lavender aids verbal expression. It calms the insecurities that one feels when they risk their true thoughts and feelings. Lavender addresses the deep fear of being seen and heard. Individuals in need of lavender hide within, blocking all forms of true self-expression. While they may even be going through the motions of outward expression, they're actually holding back their innermost thoughts and feelings. The expression is not connected to the heart or soul. And then it goes on to just talk about how it will actually, lavender will encourage emotional honesty and insist that one speak their innermost thoughts and desires, and helps them to learn to communicate their deepest thoughts and feelings, and then just be open and honest. So basically it's going to unblock things so that they can communicate. So the reason I share that is because I didn't really know much about the oils. I did not know the emotional side of oils and didn't realize that they could do that. I just had stumbled really upon them, and there's so much more that we can't even imagine. But lavender, for my daughter, she had just written a song, and this was a few years ago. She'd written her song, and she shared it with her music teacher because he would critique those things and help her with her songwriting. Well, of course, he's like, thank you, Scott. He just was like, he'd known her for years. He goes, well, this is the song, this is what I think of it, and he didn't soften the blow. And at the time, I think she was 12, maybe 11, 12. But it just crushed her. So unbeknownst to me, she had gone into a shell and didn't say anything. She's already kind of a quiet person, and she did not say anything about the emotions and the feelings that she was having about having rejection because of sharing about this, this song that she was writing. And so when lavender comes up, she's like, oh yeah, it was her top oil on the scan. She goes, that's so mean, Mom. And so we said, well, okay, let's get some lavender out. And so we got some lavender, and Kenny prayed for her, and he just prayed, that she would be released from fear and that she'd have creativity. And then we as parents just encouraged her and supported her to, go write music. So I think shortly after that, she went and wrote a song. Now, if anybody knows my daughter, they know that, this is like a few years ago, like I said, but she's now almost 16. She is one of the worship leaders at the youth group, and they have about 70 to 80 youth that come out. And their teams are really fantastic. And she actually just wrote like a couple more songs, and she's actually got several that she's putting together for a CD or whatever they call it now, MP3. I don't even know anymore what people do. I don't know. But the point is, she's very creative and loves to write. But if you think about how many times, I just want to say this, in your life, your creativity that you have experienced, and you have somebody say to you, it's not good. It's not, even if they're speaking the truth, it's just, that's not good enough. And then you take that and you go, oh, I could never write that book. I could never write that song. I could never do whatever it is that was in your heart to do, because somebody spoke something out, you heard it, and you received it as the truth about your life, and you allowed it to identify you and to shape and mold who you were. But what if that isn't really who you are? So here's an example for me, and I'll give you this last one before we move on.
We never said what happened with music teacher when she wrote a song.
Oh, that's right. She went, okay, remember, lavender causes you to be bold, basically, and express your thoughts. She actually went up to the teacher after using lavender, and she went up and she said, I just want to tell you what I feel about what you said about my song. And they were good friends. They knew each other, you know. I mean, he'd been teaching her for quite a while. But she was bold enough to go up and say, this is how I feel about this song and why I wrote it. And that was a huge step. And so, again, you know, instead of hunkering down, yeah, that was kind of an important part of it. So lavender really does
And
help.
I totally respected her for doing that.
He did respect her for that, and that she stood up for that, and they have a great relationship, so it didn't affect it, but it just created just more of a bond, you know, with the teacher and their student. And again, he continued to help her for a long time with music and writing and just different stuff for a couple more years. So what was the next thing I was going to share?
You were going to share some other story.
I know.
I know I interrupted you, but I wanted to make sure you were completed.
I got to complete my thoughts.
Yeah.
Does anybody remember what I started to say to you?
No.
It was a story about you.
About you.
It was about you.
But I know, but I can't remember what it was
You didn't
about.
tell us, or we could have told you.
Kenny Wahlberg. Okay. I'm just hot up here. Okay.
Need more
What was it? Yeah, I do need more peppermint. Oh well, if I think of it, it was probably gonna be really good too. Okay. Oh, I know what it was. Okay. Doesn't have nothing to do with oils, but I'm gonna say this. No, but this is important. I know what it's about. Okay. So this is why I share this, because I know there's people in this room that have been shut down. That's why I want to say this. So one of the people that shut me down was an art teacher. He was, oh man, it was like had to be perfectionist. And I kept erasing, and I was always worried about what I was doing, and I was worried about him approving of what I was doing. So I was constantly, you know. Anyhow, long story short, he just looks and he says, you're just terrible. You are not an artist. And this is just, as his teacher, he was so like, and of course your teacher, they say that to you and you think the world has ended and that they're the authority and all right.
How old were you?
I was 7th grade. And so I said, oh, I guess I can't draw. Really wanted to, you know. So for years and years and years and years go by. All of a sudden I'm 40. I'm teaching my kids how to do art. And I'm saying, okay, you gotta do it. They said to draw like this. And so I said, well, let me do this exercise, you know. So I started drawing it. It was your face. It was your face. You drew your face. And you had to look in the mirror and you had to draw it and everything. So then I showed it to Kenny. And what did you say?
I said, you're a really good artist.
Yeah. He goes, you can draw. I didn't know you could draw. I said, I didn't know I could either. And then over time, I can draw anything. I'm actually a really good artist. I'm not even basic. I can do better than basic. I don't even draw. I can do more than stick figures, you know? So I think the point I'm trying to say is that think about the things that have been shut down in your life. Think about the things where you've been told you can't do that, you can't, oh, you're not good at that. And really go, you know what? Did I just accept a lie and just never grow in who I was supposed to be? So hopefully that will encourage some. You have a...
Oh, well, it could be, but I don't
Yeah.
know how many people actually know this, but Tom Hanks went to Sac State, and his drama teacher told him he can't act.
Oh, my goodness.
So that story came out, I don't know when I saw that, a year or two ago, somewhere. I think it was, I read it somewhere. So that was very interesting.
See, there you go. And
It
Tom
must have
Hanks...
been using lavender.
Somebody else used to lavender. I know it. Tom Hanks is amazing. He's one of my favorite. So again, just because somebody says something, you know, don't believe everything that people say to you. Okay, so let's jump into some more. Okay, so love and trust. Let's talk about geranium. And where's my geranium? Can you pass this one around and open that one up? Thank you. And then if somebody wants to grab the geranium off the back, they may. If they like to pass that around. So geranium is for love and trust. It opens up the heart. Anytime that the heart has been traumatized or injured, geranium can help restore it and help open it up. This oil is one of the greatest facilitators for inner child or regression work. So it's important that we get to the root of the issue, which is often found in childhood. So just a quick example for myself. I actually scanned for geranium, and I read what it said, and I just said, I'm not getting that oil, because I didn't like what it said about emotions. And I didn't realize I had some deep wounds as a child, and that I had not let go of. So geranium restores confidence in the innate goodness of others and in the world. It facilitates trust, especially when an individual has lost trust in others due to difficult life circumstances. It also assists in reestablishing a strong bond to one's mother and father. And when there's been a loss of trust in relationships, geranium encourages emotional honesty, love, and forgiveness. It fosters receptivity to human love and connection. It heals the broken heart, and it encourages emotional honesty by facilitating the emergence of grief or pain that's been suppressed. It softens anger and assists in healing emotional wounds, and helps the love and flow freely. It's actually called the emotional healer. Well, 6 months went by and I finally used geranium, and I put geranium on, and it's also a hormone balancer too. I put that on, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I love you, I love everybody. It was like all of a sudden I had like this crazy love for everybody around me. Now I was just like, is that how this oil works? I should have done this a long time ago. So even though I was friendly, there was a lot of broken trust. And so does anybody ever feel broken trust? Does anybody else experience it besides me? Yeah, okay, good, I'm not the only one. Okay, you might want to try geranium. It's quite great. And so yeah, I just feel like something was healed in my heart. And I can't explain it past that, but yeah, so kindness. Here's some more that you can do. Immortelle, and of course geranium. Immortelle has frankincense, Hawaiian sandalwood, lavender, myrrh, helichrysum, and rose. And we're going to talk a little bit more about some of those oils as well, but not in this particular slide. So let's go to this slide. Anybody ever seen The Devil Wears Prada? Yeah. Oh, I love Meryl Streep. She's an amazing actress. So I could not resist this picture. But I want Dave to share an example of forgive, because I think his story I love. And if anybody else has a story about forgive, I would love for you to share that one. So if you got just a 30 seconds, here, you want to pass this around? Here's the other one. So what you do, I want you to pass one over here and then one over that end. Okay, Dave, share about forgive.
Okay, so my son came home from work and was just really upset. It was a bad shift. People were just treating him not well. And he was really upset, really mad. And we said, well, why don't you try diffusing some forgive? See what happens. So he goes in his room and is diffusing it. And when he gets finished, he said he actually tried to get mad at the people he was mad at, and he couldn't do it. So it just completely turned him around. So it was amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorites. Does anybody else have a quick little story, same kind of thing about forgive, anything similar to that? I know, we can't even top that one. It's ridiculous. It's great. Thank you. Okay, excellent. So let's read about cardamom. We're going to pass around cardamom as well. I told you guys you're going to be high on oils. And I'm sorry, Facebook out there, that I can't pass around oils so that you can be loopy. Everybody tells me, I just want to say, Audrey, what happens after you come to a class like this?
I always sleep really well.
It's true, you do. Hey, Isaac, here's cardamom. So I'm going to read a little bit about cardamom. Got it? I'm going to pass that around. Okay, so I want to just share from you about in the emotional book about this one. I just typed this one up real quick. So has anybody ever scanned for cardamom before? Yeah, because it helps with our respiratory, helps us with breathing, helps with our digestive. It's a fantastic oil. But let's talk about the emotional side of it. Cardamom assists individuals who frequently feel frustrated or angry with other people. Especially helpful for times when one's anger goes to their head, causing them to become hot-headed, losing control, or rational function. It helps to bring balance, mental clarity, and objectivity during moments of extreme anger and frustration. Anybody ever get road rage? You should use this one. Yeah, this would be a good one to use. Yeah, I like living in the mountains. I don't like to come to Roseville because it's like people cutting you off. It's crazy. So anybody, you guys pass that around. So I'm not going to ask if anybody gets angry in here. We're not going to raise hands. It'd be so embarrassing. I get angry though. I'll raise my hand. I won't ask anybody else because you guys are probably all perfect and amazing in here. I am a redhead, and redheads get hot, right? Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, where's the ylang ylang? Okay, can somebody in the back grab Elaine? And somebody, it's on one of my tables on there. And let's pass around Elaine. So let's think about what Elaine does, okay? So obviously you've got this list here. We're just pulling out a couple for right now. So here's the thing with this. Are you struggling to see the bright side of things? If you are, then use Elaine to, aromatically or topically, okay? Because it will help with help you with your optimistic perspective. It's very powerful, it's uplifting, it's gonna help promote a very positive outlook for you. Two of the main chemical constituents of Elaine essential oil, good Lord, I can't even read these. Hold on. Caryophyllene and germochrome. It's okay, let's just move on. These are two chemical components that are part of the sesquiterpene group, okay? So Elaine's unique chemistry and scent promote soothing feelings when used aromatically. And I guess at the Korean universities, they found that this caryophyllene helps support healthy cell growth when ingested orally. Did you catch that one? Healthy cell growth. So fascinating. I never knew that about Elaine. How about this one? You ever see two people on their phone? Oh, never. Never. Just doing their thing, inconsiderate. So then you might want to try using these oils with your spouse or maybe your teenager. That might be better. Another one that is helpful, I don't think I brought it. Cinnamon. Cinnamon helps in relationships when there is insecurity, which is going to be shown through jealousy or control. So what cinnamon will do is it can nurture strong relationships based on mutual love and respect. Insecurities can create pretense and pride, and cinnamon encourages one to be honest and vulnerable, allowing true intimacy to happen. And then one more about that cardamom that went around. That can actually help people let go of emotional distortions, which cause them to objectify other people and see other people as inconveniences. Anybody see someone as an inconvenience in here? Oh, you have relatives coming. Diffuse cardamom. It also demands that people stop blaming others, and it helps you to take ownership and responsibility for your feelings. Teenagers, yes. I think cardamom's a good one to diffuse. Okay, hold on a second. I have boys in the corner. What are those two boys doing? Hey, you're on video right now. Okay, just fine. Be good over there. Everybody's watching you now. Okay, so let's go into the next. Has anybody in Facebook land, have you used any of these oils for any emotional things? So if anybody says anything, can you let me know? And then we'll share those testimonies. So let's talk about a little bit more of some oils here that help. And then if you have a testimony as we're sharing, go ahead and raise your hand. So here's one. Hurtful to others. Again, cardamom, whisper, and serenity. So it's really important. It's the ingredients that are in whisper. So it's got bergamot, remember, for confidence, ylang ylang that we just talked about, patchouli, vanilla, jasmine, cinnamon, vetiver, and Hawaiian sandalwood. So let's talk about Hawaiian sandalwood for just a second. And we'll pass around whisper. So you can smell this one. I can't even open this one. I think it's new. Okay. Did she get her new oil?
Yes.
Got it. Okay, good. Hawaiian sandalwood is in this one. That one is grounding. It's a balancing aroma of sandalwood. It's going to actually help you settle, and it's going to help you balance your emotions. And here's why. Because it has the chemical constituent known as Santalol, like Santa, S-A-N-T-A-L-O-L. There's 90% concentration of that, and that's an alcohol that is known for its grounding effects. That's in whisper, the sandalwood. But anybody use sandalwood in the room? Anyone use it? Does somebody use sandalwood in here? You do? For rest. Yeah, I love it. It's like one of my favorites. So that just tells you some of the stuff that it does. So if you're needing to feel balanced and grounded, definitely check into that. Serenity has sandalwood as well, okay? And it also has lavender that's going to help calm fears. So let's pass around serenity. Could I have you guys, could you open a couple of those? Or boys, you want each to do one? Okay, open it up and pass it around. And then Ylang Ylang that we talked about helps with emotional trauma from the past. Okay, that's another one. And Ylang Ylang is actually in the Serenity, in case you were wondering. Cardamom, going back to cardamom, by the time I'm done, you're all going to get cardamom. It improves blood circulation, which protects the heart. And cardamom is made up of monoterpenoid esters, commonly known for their calming and soothing properties. Okay? So when you're wondering how these oils are helping to be calming and relaxing, it's because of all the properties that they have in them. So let's just go through a couple more. Connecting with others. There's cedarwood, geranium, and marjoram. So some of those that we have, we've got cedarwood, and we've got marjoram. Okay, here's marjoram. Open it up, pass it around. Can you pass around cedarwood for me? Thank you. And let's see, do we want to, oh, we've already done geranium. So we know geranium helps with love and trust. Cedarwood is the oil of community. Cedarwood is a great one to diffuse when that family is coming for the holidays. Marjoram, I have to tell you something, which I found really fascinating. With my children, they're all wonderfully made, but they all have issues. Just saying. And so one of them, we had adopted, and I was having a really hard time connecting with her. She came when she was 3. She's from Ethiopia. She had to learn the language here, and she had a very, very traumatic life experience. And so with that being said, you can actually, if you ever want to Google it, I think it's called, what is it called? Drawn from Water?
Yeah, I don't know that it's on there.
It's still on YouTube.
Is it?
It's Drawn from Water.
It began with Bali.
It began with Bali.
And it's on your page now. I think
It's
you
on my
posted
page.
it.
It began with Bali, B-A-L-E. So if you ever want to look it up, check it out. It's a great little 3-minute testimony about her life and how they started an orphanage with her. So long story short, we were having some really challenges connecting, and 2 years had gone by. And it was like, this is, I don't care how many adoption books you read, we were really having a challenge. Well, I just said, God, I need some serious help here. We scanned her. She came up for marjoram. And see, all thought it was just for all your physical ailments. It really is your emotional stuff too. And so this is marjoram, the oil of connection. Marjoram aids those who are unable to trust others or form meaningful relationships. This inability to trust often stems from harsh life experiences. And when you watch her video, you will understand. The individual develops a fear of close connection in human relationships. They may tend towards reclusive behavior, protecting themselves from social interaction. And they sabotage long-term relationships. And they have barriers to form protection. So then it continues to go on about that. And it teaches the basis for all human relationships to increase their warmth and their trust in social situations, and softens the heart and heals past wounds. And it kindles a fire of trust in relationships so one may fully blossom and feel safe and loved. And then it restores trust and openness so their true bonds of love, beautiful, I'm going to cry, maybe formed in friendships and relationships. So the really neat thing about that I just want to say is that we started putting it on her. She's like, first time I put it on without any coconut oil, and she's all, bleh, bleh, bleh. I'm like, what's wrong? She goes, I can taste I wish you know what it was called, because I tasted it on her spine.
And she tasted it?
And she could taste it on her tongue. And I was like, oh man. But this is what the great part about this story. We did that every day, once a day, 1 drop. Within a week, something broke. Can't explain it. Supernatural, I can't explain it. I used the oil, and I didn't tell her, she had no idea. But I will tell you this, we have a bond, we have a trust, we have a relationship that we did not have. And so I just share that because I know that other people have adopted, and there are definitely some challenges. But I go, you know what? I am so thankful again for the oils. There's so many different things I've found with all my children, all the things they help emotionally, and I go, this is crazy, but it works. And we just have a really good. In fact, I'm taking her to the movies this week. I asked her, she filled out the chart, because we have these charts that they all get to fill out. And I'm like, okay, who do you want to go with? You want to go with Dad? You want to go with me? She goes, I want to go with you. And this week, this morning, she drew this picture, and it was all of us, and mom, dad, and all of us, and drew these sick people of our family. So it just, again, if you don't believe the oils work, let me tell you, they work. And I know because I was desperate. So, and I just saw so much change. So, anyhow, enough. See, I had that geranium smell in it, and all the love and trust is coming out. So, another oil is that we have here. If you're feeling friendless, you're feeling left out, you're feeling lonely, you can use marjoram. Remember, it's an oil that helps connect. Cedarwood is for community. Myrrh and frankincense are fantastic too. Myrrh, I think it's in the back. If somebody can grab the ones in the back, we'll pass those around real quick. Frankincense connects us to God, and it's also the oil of truth. And myrrh connects us to the mother heart. So again, just some beautiful things that these oils do. See, here's the thing. God, thank you. I appreciate that. What I love is that God is interested in you as a person. He is interested in you emotionally, physically, spiritually. Oh, that's even better. Okay. And so if you feel lonely, if you feel isolated, I just want to say I love how God created oils to help us with all these things, all these emotions that we all go through at different times, and they're very real. So cedarwood, marjoram, and arbor vitae help if you're feeling isolated. And actually, when I was on my trip and I was traveling a ton, I used, can you pass it around? I used arbor vitae because it smells like where I live in the woods. And it helped me as I was homesick and when I was feeling isolated and I was alone traveling. And I didn't even realize it did all of these things, but I would put it on. And one of the main components to this particular oil, it's called methylfugate. I think that's how you say it. This chemical has a monoterpian backbone with an ester functional group. And because of it being its main chemical property, it has a strong renewing effect. So this arbor vitae tree can reach up to like 100 to 200 feet high. And it's known as actually the largest tree in the cypress family. So think about cypress and what cypress does, and I'm sure that arbor vitae has some of those same, emotional things that it can help with. So let's talk for just a moment about forgive, serenity, time, and geranium. And I want to pull out time. And you can, when you smell this, you're going to think you need to go home and make some chicken soup. And remember, these oils, you can cook with these oils. So just keep that in mind. You can still use them, but they're so concentrated. Hey, boys, what you doing over there? I've only got, okay, no, I have 4 boys. Lord help me. This is why I had to get my husband home. I was like, you can come home and you're going to work with me. Okay. I'm going to share something real. I just love this. And we're almost on one more slide after this. Thyme oil supports a healthy immune system to help support your immune system during the winter months. So you can add 2 drops of thyme oil and you can take it internally. Okay, that'd be the good with the veggie caps. And remember, we were talking earlier about that immune system. When it gets low, that our energetic defense goes down. So when we get, our immune system goes down, our emotions, everything goes. Okay, there's also the forgive that we've been passing around, and that one also has thyme in it. And it has bergamot, and spruce, and juniper, and arbor vitae, and myrrh. So you can kind of start to see some patterns here and why they put these oils together. So this is what I want to share about this last part. And this is why this is so important. This is so important for you to understand. Now, I'm going to give you 3 quick stories. But this is why it's very important that we work on our emotional and our forgiveness of people. So I want to talk about, again, we've already talked a little bit about forgiveness. But Louise Hay, I read her testimony recently to you in her book. Her book is called Heal Your Body. And when she gave her testimony, she was sharing how she had cancer in her vagina. She said when she was like 5 that she had been raped. And so she carried that anger and that unforgiveness with her. And then when she had that happen, she actually started to just go through this whole forgiveness process and this whole, just a holistic approach to it. And within 3 months, I think it was 3 months, her cancer was gone. Okay? So she talks a lot about how emotions are tied to your body and the different things that happen to it. So I want to share with you another story. And I love to read. Who loves to read in here? Good. I'm a reader too. And I have stacks. It's kind of embarrassing. My side of the bed has like stacks of books, and I really do read them. Okay, so I want to read this one little section here because I thought it was just, hold on one second, make sure I can find it. This woman, here it is. This is just really intense. This lady's name is Rose Price. So what I want to share about Rose Price is that she was in the Holocaust. When she was 10 or 11, her and her sister both got taken, and they had to go in a factory, and they had to make bullets. And obviously we know the bullets were to kill their people, but this is what she did. And then eventually she got thrown into concentration camps. And out of 100 people in her family, only 3 survived: her aunt and herself and her sister. And technically her sister should have even died because she had pneumonia, but she had kind of covered up her body and raised her hand because she said, God, I can't lose my sister. So, you know, it was just an incredible story that she shares. Well, this is what's so fascinating about unforgiveness. She says, if you feel you cannot forgive someone, you cannot hate anyone more than I hated the Germans. I had lost my stomach. I had 27 operations before I went to Berlin. Hate has an address in your body. Love cannot dwell in the body with hate. When I finally gave up all the hate and love, love started coming in, and something happened inside my body. I didn't have pain anymore. I haven't had an operation since 1981 because the Lord has taken all the poison out of me. So 27 operations because of unforgiveness, because of hate in her heart and what she went through. But once she forgave and released, she actually went back to Germany, she said, and was able to forgive and gave a whole message about forgiving, which is a huge thing. I mean, we can't even comprehend what she experienced. Another person that some of you might have heard at the convention, I'm not going to be able to say her name right, it's Immaculée. I don't even know how to say her last name, but she is from Rwanda, and she was from the genocide. She experienced that one that happened about 20 years ago. And her story, just in a nutshell, is that she left her family. They said, you need to go hide at the pastor's house. And the pastor hid her in his house in the bathroom with 6 other women. They had nowhere to go. And she was 120 or something, 130, and she came out 64 pounds after 3 months. But in the meantime, she's hearing them outside saying, you know, they were chanting her name, saying she's a cockroach, where is she at? And, you know, they were looking for her. And she talks about being angry and just hating them because she knew they were killing all of her family and all her friends. And so she said there's just such a darkness in her heart. But she said even in the bathroom when she was there hidden, that she went through this process where all of a sudden she just was like, realized how much God forgave them and how she needed to forgive them. And as she said, as she began to forgive them, all of this love just began to enter her heart, and all the aches and pains that she was feeling from hating these people. I mean, you know, they were looking for her. But she said instead that, you know, the scripture she heard was, she was kept hearing that God was saying, forgive them because they don't know what they do. And she really just said it was just a very wicked thing that was going on. And so when she started to apply that, all of that anger and hurt went away. She's a beautiful woman. She's Catholic, and she's Tutsi, I think. I'm not sure how you say that. But her story is incredible. I highly, highly recommend her book to read. But that's just another example of forgiveness. So the reason, I'm going to end with one more slide, but the reason I want to bring up forgiveness is it will kill you. It will destroy your body. It will cause pain in your body. It will cause, you know, stomach issues, cancer, all kinds of things. That emotion, there's so much more to it than we can even imagine. We poo-poo our emotions all the time. We put them away. We say, well, I can feel that way because that's what happened to me. No, we need to forgive. We need to release it because we know really who it hurts? Us. The one that's hanging on to all that anger and hurt and unforgiveness. And we're the ones being affected by it. So I really want to encourage you to use those oils so that you can get forgiveness and get release, so that you don't carry that around. I'll tell you, I've even noticed with my rheumatoid arthritis, I actually, because it talks about with Heal Your Body, she talks about unforgiveness and how, your arthritis can be connected. I was like, that sucks, that's convicting. Okay, great, and the vitamins have helped me like 90% in this area. So great, but there's this little tiny bit. I said, okay, who do I need to forgive? Oh yeah, they hurt me 15 years ago. Yeah. And I just started to release some people. I was like, I just need to forgive. Why am I hanging on to that? That's ridiculous. And because when you really start to think about it, and I thought, I'm just forgiving. I'm forgiving everybody I need to forgive. Do you know when the rain came this last time? No pain, nothing at all. And I realized there's a connection there. So if you don't think there's a connection, I'm experiencing it, but I had to face it. All right, I gotta forgive. Okay, I can do this. And then actually I really wanted to, because I didn't want to be in pain and I didn't want to be angry at people for past wounds and hurts. So I just want to encourage you to release it all. So here's our last slide. Geranium and Serenity, which we've already, no more oils to pass around, boys, I'm sorry. Geranium and is obviously love and trust, and Serenity has all those great oils in it, lavender and cedarwood and ylang ylang and marjoram, okay, and Hawaiian sandalwood. Those are a few that we've already talked about. And what happens with that is that, again, just a reminder that they've got those monoterpenoid esters in it that help with the calming. So resources, there you go. So you can look up those resources and be able to read some more stuff on that. And one last thing, we can close this part of Facebook Live unless they had any comments. Did anybody have a comment?
No, just someone said sandalwood will help with sleep if you confuse it.
Sandalwood would help with sleep. That's right, it really does. The one thing, okay, so, and thank you, Facebook. We love you. Pass it around. Say bye, everybody, Facebook. See you later. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us.